It's funny you ask how you sound because I was literally just about to start this recording by saying that you sound like the pitched down version of Papa John when he was saying I've had over 40 pizzas in the last 30 days. That's kind of what you sound like right now.
Yeah, I imagine I sound great.
Cool.
So to our beautiful listeners, I'll do my best to turn off the mic if I have to sneeze or anything, but I have been horribly under the weather for the past 48 hours now.
Your flu game.
Yes, exactly. I do it for our beautiful listeners. That's what gets me out of bed.
Any idea of what gave you the bug? Have you done like a COVID test? What's going on here?
No, I haven't done a COVID test yet. But I went to bed Monday night. There was some post-nasal drippage happening, which sounds disgusting.
Just a little drop here and there. You kind of
Tuesday woke up, had a fever all day. Was absolutely miserable. I think, quite honestly, no hyperbole, maybe the worst fever I've ever had was like in hell. I was strapped in, saw God.
That's literally like
having fever dreams.
You're like your limbs get restless. It feels like you're on pins and needles. You're hot, but you're also cold at the same time. It's an awful, awful feeling. I do not envy you.
It was terrible, but I don't know. I think the worst is behind us, so we can only go up from here.
Again, that is welcome Martin Maldonado, a.k.a. Liam, our brave soldier of God here. I am Dick Fitz, a.k.a. Fitz, with a dick. Who would have known? Here, we are Jakeless this episode. Jake unable to make it on this episode of Pod on Lansdowne, but you listening, you were able to make it, so we appreciate you being here on this pretty big edition of Pod on Lansdowne. We actually have some baseball news to talk about, Liam, believe it or not. Yeah, I mean, why even beat around the bush at this point? Let's just get right into it. I was hoping that like a joke first news thing was going to hop into my head.
Welcome, Isaiah Campbell.
Yeah, thank you, Liam. There you go, picking up on the bit from there. No, Alex Verdugo. We hardly knew ye. That's going to be the meat and potatoes of this episode, and we have a special guest later on in the program, Emily Nyman, friend of the program, Yankees fan, here to give you the Yankees perspective of this deal for one Alex Verdugo. But let's start with the Red Sox side of the deal. 3 pitchers going back to the Boston Red Sox. Richard Fitz, Dick Fitz, and then I forget the other 2 guys' names off the top of my head. Liam.
Yeah, I don't have the other 2 off the top of my head either. I came very prepared.
Which sucks. I just had it for the Emily interview. Ah, damn it! I can't find it.
I will say, just like as a broad overview of the deal before we get into it, really, I don't know. It feels like a win-win for both sides, especially on the Red Sox side. I know the radio heads already today. Shout out Tony Maz. Are like, oh, well, you got rid of a major league outfielder. Like, the writing was on the wall. Verdugo was not going to be on this team.
That's exactly what I told Emily. Yeah.
So the fact that you got anything of value, especially in an area where the organization needed depth, minor league pitching, like, to me, that's a win. Verdugo at this point, we know what his ceiling is, and that's, slightly above 100 plus OPS with good defense. When he's at his best, God, I loved him.
Things are great when it was good. Yeah.
I personally own an Alex Verdugo jersey, so I will always defend him. But I think by the time we got to midseason last year, and you had the disciplinary issues, and then the bat just completely fell off in the second half. I think that was just kind of it. Like it had run its course, for better or worse. One thing we can hang our hats on: 2 more postseason RBIs than Mookie Betts in a Red Sox uniform.
Makes you think so. Who won the deal? It's impossible. It's impossible to say who did or did not. Right? So I got the names here finally for the pitchers alongside Dickie Fitz, who we will be abusing that nickname. We will be running it into the ground as long as he is a member of the organization. But Greg Weissert and Nicholas Judas, literally traded for Judas right before Christmas, Liam. That's Crazy.
Makes you think.
Very, very insensitive of the Boston Red Sox organization to do that. But no, I mean, and I don't want to give away too much of our conversation with Emily when we were kind of talking about the Red Sox and the Yankees' perspective of this. You'll hear that a little bit later in the program. But you said it there. It had sort of run its course. When he was on, Alex Verdugo was very fun to watch. Great, teammate. Seemed like a good, energy, sparky kind of guy. But take that out of it. Take the appreciation from out of there, and I understand, there's some people have really grown to love Alex Verdugo. He kind of became a fan favorite to some during his time here. Which, by the way, his time here started with a situation completely out of his control. I mean, being the major piece for the Mookie Betts return. I don't envy him for, having to deal with that, you know what I mean? But he just never really took that next step into being a consistently this is a really strong, sturdy, part of the lineup. You saw it in flashes, especially the first half of 23. You thought, oh man, this guy's playing for an extension. He might be here for a bit. The defense got better in 23. But then you go ahead and look at his offensive numbers, and what jumps out is the fact that the last 4 years, his 4 years in Boston, OPS plus has dropped in all 4 of them. 123 during the short year, okay, fine. Went down to 107 in 21, 777 straight up OPS, okay, sure. Then that OPS drops down to 102, then it's league average 100. He had the tools, at least, the contact tool you thought at times to be able to, consistently be, I don't know, a 115 OPS plus kind of a guy, which is a good improvement over a guy who's just, 100, you know what I mean? You could kind of squint your eyes and see, okay, in the future, maybe he has a career in Boston, being a better offensive player. Just never really took that next step, kind of stayed there. And look, he's coming in the last year of his contract. He's about to be, 28 years old? He's
his age 28 season.
He's not a hopeful sort of a project anymore, you know what I mean? He's damn near 30 years old at this point. You're right, it just did run its course. I'm happy for the, solid memories he did provide us. He had some big moments. Very clutch player at time, you know what I mean? He was not afraid of the bright lights when he was standing up to the plate. But then on the flip side of it, some of the stuff off the field with, questions about the maturity and whatnot, it never really came together, and maybe it's just best for all parties to separate, and that's what happened.
I will say this, and you bring up a good point. In the big spots, he had that dog in him.
He had the juice.
He
did.
To be quite frankly, and that is something I don't think a lot of the position players, at the very least, that the Red Sox currently have. I don't know that they have that in them, because you had the wild card game. I think Verdugo had 3 RBIs in that game.
Yep.
Like I said, 2 more postseason RBIs than Mookie in a Red Sox uniform. He showed up big in game 162 in DC before Devers.
That's
he tied the game before Devers took the lead. And, you had the Yankees walk-off in 22. You had the 2 walk-offs. I think it was late May last year.
That Minnesota one.
Yep. Yeah, the Minnesota one. Then Romero against
Please
the Blue
be fucking
Jays.
fair.
Yeah, I don't know. He had the juice, so it was easy to love him when he's showing up in those big moments. But you have to take the off the field stuff into account, and even without the off the field stuff, but like we said, production wise, we kind of what you're getting at this point, and I think where the Red Sox are, especially with how left-handed heavy the team already is, you need some bats with higher upside at this point. So the outfield with all those left-handed bats is kind of redundant. And for a guy with 1 year left with, issues with Cora, for better or worse, it makes sense.
Who sent the tweet from the podcast account at Pod on Lansdowne, by the way? Just saw Cora at the winter meetings. He was doing backflip.
I think that had to have been Jake.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. It was no secret that their relationship had, what's the word? It had maybe soured a bit. How about that? Maybe not full on
and
sour, but you know.
I mean, something Cora said when he was speaking to the media, which like I don't know how much insight you can get from it, but I thought it was interesting. Was like he taught me a lot about like how to be a manager, and he was like, I learned a lot from being his manager,
Yeah.
and I think I don't know they've talked about their kids being like huge friends
I'm sure
several times. So like
they seem like friendly enough, like in an atmosphere outside of the clubhouse. You know what I mean? Like,
right. So it's like I don't really think there's legitimate bad blood there.
Yeah, not
I
animosity.
Think, right. It was just kind of like how much longer can we do this?
Yeah, keep it up in a professional setting. Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, it may just be better, for everyone to just sort of turn the page on it. We don't have to keep relitigating the return of the Mookie Betts trade. Like that's official. I mean, Connor Wong's still there, but
Connor Wong, 2024 All-Star.
Could you imagine?
First.
Yeah. Restart.
I will say the Verdugo welcome back video is going to go hard with all those big moments in it.
Yeah, it's going to be a highlight reel for a reason because there were some
The
highs
were high. The highs were high. The lows were low.
Yeah, but after the 18th time he makes a boneheaded, base running mistake, he kind of
grounds to second base.
Yeah, God, don't get me started. So, I mean, Santi tweeted it like if there was one word to describe the Alex Verdugo tenure here in Boston, what would it be? What would you say?
Oh, that's a great question. I haven't seen Santi's tweet.
I think he said underwhelming.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the first word that came to mind was like hopeful. Like there was so much. It felt like there was so much upside there, and we saw it.
Yeah.
When it never came together, really.
Yeah, consistent
for a full season. So yeah, I mean, I guess underwhelming is a good word. I don't want to say it was like completely underwhelming because of the big moments he had, and like, I mean, Christ, he was in the lineup practically every day. 53 games in the COVID season,
and there's something to be said about that. Sometimes the best ability is availability. And again, it's not that like he was like bad. I mean, he was bad towards the end of the season at the plate. You know what I mean? But as a player, it's just always been sort of solid, but. You wanted a little bit more than solid from him. I guess.
I would just say it left a little to be desired. That's all.
I think,
and that's not one word, but
yeah, I was gonna say that's the Charles Barkley.
Three
words.
Yes, exactly.
I think it says like Jason Kidd and Chris Paul must see TV. That's so good. I think my word would be
Yeah, that too.
The Alex Verdugo era. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think I feel completely different probably if the second half of this past season, like the recency bias definitely helps. It makes it a lot easier. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, he wasn't going to be on the team on opening day.
That's the thing.
It had run its course. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's. If you're a Red Sox fan and you're like distraught or bereft over this news,
crestfallen.
Yeah, I would say you probably didn't watch the second half of the season,
which is fine. No one will blame you, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're the sickos. We watch every night, regardless. But yeah, the second half of 23 was tough. Even the second half of 22. So, is what it is. That's my other one word.
Combined, must see TV. Yeah, it wasn't a. It wasn't like a. It was a.
Yeah.
Like, Alex Verdugo.
Yeah, that makes sense. That happened.
Yeah, that was a thing. In 20 years, he'll get a nice little applause. Maybe not a standing ovation, but a nice applause when he's the Fenway legend of the game. Middle of the fourth inning or something like that. They show, Red Sox legends, and he's up in the, the State Street Pavilion with his fam. He waves to the camera. Please welcome back Alex Verdugo. then my kids are gonna say, "Who was that?" And I'll be like, he's a pretty good
Yeah,
player. Yeah, he has moments. Yeah.
he was the guy we traded Mookie Betts for. Which
Oh yeah,
I mean,
duh.
not for his fault. That's how he'll be remembered by a majority of fans. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for the situation he came into and like that being thrown into his lap, really, like you'd be hard pressed to do much worse than that, if that makes sense. Like
that's a fair point.
I would say with the personality, he played every day. The defense was really good in right field at Fenway, which is exceptionally hard. To me, it's a win for him at the very least. Like you can't really say he sucked or like. I mean, people will be like, "Oh, he wasn't worth it." Well, no one's really worth Mookie Betts. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think he made the most of the situation. I think the off the field stuff definitely hurt him, but you can't be like, it was a total loss. Like we got nothing for Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
Like Verdugo was a very fine everyday player for the Boston Red Sox. And that's I mean, that's kind of what you hope for at the very least. Like,
yeah,
and now Connor Wong is presumably your everyday starter in 24. So it's like,
are you forgetting Martin Maldonado, Liam? Your namesake?
Not confirmed. Allegedly,
all but confirmed. I swear to fucking God,
Devers on Instagram with the eyeball emojis.
What would be worse, the Red Sox signing Maldonado before the Yankees trade for Soto, or after the Yankees trade for Soto?
I'm gonna say if they happen like within an hour of each other in the
which way is worse? Because you have an argument for both of it. Because if it's before, it's like the Yankees just to get to say, "Oh, that's fucking cute, Martin Maldonado." What Soto? But then on the other end of it,
I think it's immediately after, like as a follow up, like because then it'll be what was it?
I think I agree with you.
Forget what the context was. It was like Stanton or when we signed JD.
Oh, the rivalry
with the fireman. I was already thinking about that earlier today. Like I have that in the back pocket for when we signed Maldonado, like within an hour or two of the Soto announcement.
Bottom one worst Red Sox tweet of all time.
I will say whoever was running the account that window between like 17 and 20. Especially with like when we reset the luxury tax, and it was like,
that one was hilarious. That I was furious at the time, but in hindsight, that's awesome.
in hindsight, both of them are very funny.
If you know, you know. In the
fucking button push, that was just madness. But yeah. So, but that rivalry tweet is both of them are all timers. I honestly can't think of like any other Red Sox social media posts that have really ever stood out as much as those two. Like those are the masterpieces.
The thing about that tweet, it was such a fucking Yankees 2023 ass tweet. Like the Yankees are about to fucking trade for Juan Soto probably the moment we stop recording tonight, knowing us.
100%. That pass on tweet will go out.
Play Tessie got pot on Lansdowne this week with the Verdugo trade. They stopped recording,
sure did.
And then the trade happened. I'm like, yeah, well, join the club, fellas.
I guess, I mean, in hindsight, if we had recorded Tuesday night, we would have gotten off right before the Verdugo news broke.
Yeah, we would have been in the same boat, I suppose. But the Rivalry 3 fire emojis tweet, that's such a current Yankees tweet. They're going to trade for Soto now, who's this generational hitter, and they're just going to say Soto in the BX, and then it's the emoji with the air blowing out of its nose, like you know what I mean? That's all it's going to be. Like if you're a social media manager, you're not like doing like air horn video edits like TikTok, Zoomer.
I think they should
attention.
They should steal your John Sterling call from earlier.
That was pretty good. Yeah, Will Susan. He blesses the rains down in the bleachers. Sends that ball to Africa, Susan. Speaking of announcers, before we go to break and before we toss it over to the Emily interview, shout out Joe Castiglione, making it to the Hall of Fame. Joe Castiglione, here from Cooperstown, New York, the Ford Frick Award winner for 2023. Can you believe it?
We need to get Joe on the program.
I'd love to get Joe on the program. Are you kidding me?
That's a dream come true.
That's got to be.
You could do your impression for him and everything.
Yep.
That would that's all I ever need from this.
You just give me like the B movie script and have to read it. According to
Joe's
all known
voice.
laws of aviation, there is no way that a bee should be able to fly. Can you believe it? So, no, just a quick shout out to Jakeless Again. And yeah, I mean, it's such a cool ceremony, the induction ceremony. Got to see with Ortiz. I forget who won the Ford Frick Award that time, but it's a cool little thing. Like, hey, shout out to this guy. And with all the memories that that I've had listening to Joe Castiglione, and then mix into the, all the years of experience he's had. Steve Buckley's article on The Athletic about Castiglione was fantastic. So congratulations to him. I just randomly thought of that because we were just talking about John Sterling. Anyways.
40 years, Joe.
That's right. Can you believe it? So we're going to go to break. After the break, you're going to hear the Yankees' point of view on this Alex Verdugo trade. Emily Nyman joins us on the show once again to give her takes. But first, ad time. Just make a note of it. Sorry, I've closed my notes out. Ads. It's perfect, this one, because it's just going to be both sides of the interview. 2054. Now my dad texted me, said you have a pod today. Big Billy. Had to delay by a day. Okay, 2054 back. All right, back in 10 seconds. It's easy enough. Okay. All right, we want to say thank you to Emily Nyman, as always, for joining the program. One of the few Yankee fans that we can actually stomach. That's why we have her on. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can follow us. We're at Pod on Lansdowne. I'm at Fitzimo Pena. That's Liam Fennessy _ and Jake, who is MIA today, at Jake Wallinger. If you got a question for the show, you can give us a voicemail call. 617-420-2431. Again, 617-420-2431. Liam, question for you to continue with this topic, because this is the topic du jour as it stands right now as we're recording.
Let's hear it.
Who's playing right field for the 2024 Boston Red Sox?
As of right now,
What if you were like Galaxy Brain? I'll tell you who. Alex Verdugo. They trade for him back. They get him right back.
He comes back. He goes to San Diego in the Soto deal, and then the Padres DFA, and we pick him back up.
We have to clear some more money for them, even though they trade Soto. They still want to clear some money. So, hey, we'll eat that Fernando Tatis contract, and, just to make some of the, take a little bit more on your plate in the short term, send Verdugo back. How about that?
That'll work. That works for me. That makes sense to me.
In all sense, I mean, I've heard a couple. People like the idea potentially of Lourdes Gurriel coming in free agency. That's your right-handed bat. People like Abreu potentially, Wilyer Abreu, getting some more run in the outfield after some promising signs to end the 23 season. Does he get his chance in 24? What say you, Fennessy?
As much as I would love Abreu getting everyday at bats, I think the problem at that point is your entire outfield is left-handed heavy. So like, if you go into the season with
outside
some
of Refsnyder
combination-
platooning, but that's still the point.
Yeah, it's like really the only right-handed outfielders you have right now are Rafaela and Refsnyder. Otherwise, Yoshida's gonna be in left every day. I'd imagine after what we saw from Duran, he's in center every day. So I don't think you can put another left-handed hitting outfielder every day out there and right. So, best case scenario, I think Gurriel or Teoscar make the most sense as the team stands right now. Really, unless I'm totally blanking, like I can't think of any other right-handed hitting right fielders at least on like the trade market that have been discussed. Like I feel like it's really been those two outfielders I think make the most sense.
I'm sure there's a couple, but they just don't really come to mind right now. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I'd have to sit there and think about it who might be available for a trade, right-handed corner outfielder. But if you got one, tweet it at us at Pop.
Because like I know there's been like obviously we've talked about Soler too, but like that's not someone I'm plugging in to right field.
Definitely not right field. You know what I mean?
So it's
I mean,
like for me at least, I'm like.
Yeah, maybe you platoon him in left, but even then, like Soler's so bad defensively that I don't know if I would trust him out in left
it's like,
Fenway. You know?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with Soler. It's like that's someone you're platooning in left with Yoshida, and they're splitting at bats at DH. Like you're not really putting him anywhere else. So I mean, whoever comes into play right field, I mean. Do I think Duran could handle it just based on speed alone? Yes. I mean, you saw his jumps get better in center field last year already.
Right.
So like, I don't think that's out
after the injury. Then
yeah, I mean, I don't think that's out of the question. So then it's like, I don't know. Do you bring back Duvall to play center field?
Right.
Like, I mean, Duvall's still out there. There's a right-handed hitting bat. So I don't know. I mean, the outfield is now very interesting.
I feel like people are underestimating the potential return of Duvall.
Yeah, if we had gotten a full season from Duvall, that's easy. That's an easy 30 home run season.
Yeah, but it's similar to, I mean, not to make the same comparison I made last week. It's the Tyler Lockett fantasy experience. Like, yeah, he ends up with 30 home runs, but that comes with probably 6 weeks out of the season where you want to put your head in an oven. It's like watching him hit. He is ebbs and flows left and right with him. When he's on, it's great, but he does have his moments at the plate where it's like, this guy has never seen a baseball before in his entire life.
And I get that, but I
good
think
fielder,
but the defense is what I think makes up for it. If it's like
exactly.
if he's out there every day and playing good defense at the very least, I can live with that. Because it's like I would say he's I guess a rich man's JBJ, if that makes sense. It's like, yeah, you'll get 30 home runs from him, but he'll be streaky as hell, and the defense will be solid. I mean, he's like, I don't know. I can live with that. You need another right-handed hitting bat in the lineup, and presumably it's going to be in the outfield.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you probably need two, like someone to platoon at DH. Potentially get some people off their feet, and then someone that you could start in one of those corner outfield spots, presumably right field. Because I can't imagine Yoshida out and right. I understand that.
God, no.
I'm not concerned about his
with those
defense
little
and
legs.
left, but yeah, and right, not so much. Something intrigues me. You mentioned it. You mentioned his name. Something intrigues me with Teoscar Hernandez. I understand that he swings and misses a ton. But if you're confident enough that you could at least hold that relatively in check, and not to use the adage of, oh, he could rake at Fenway. No, he literally could rake at Fenway. Like, if you saw his spray chart at Safeco, which is a canyon of a park, it's a pitcher's paradise, you could talk yourself into it with that defense as well, because he was solid defensively this year.
And the arm is nasty.
And the arm is nasty. I could see it. Now, it could go totally south, and he could be so bad at the plate with, like, in terms of his swinging misses. I mean, you could squint your eyes. I don't know what his strikeout rate off the top of my head was this year, but there's a world where, like, he legitimately could strike out. I'm not joking, like 35% of the time, which is awful. You know, like, that world does exist. But if you're confident enough that you can maybe mitigate that, I think you could do worse than Teoscar. I really do.
I mean, I'll say this. Like, Teoscar was someone going into this offseason I just kind of had my eye on, just based on the fact that, like, when he was in Toronto, he would come into Fenway every time and kill us. Regardless, he was like the new Rowdy Tellez. But I do think he's definitely someone. I mean, I'm pulling up his Savant page now. Chase percentage 13th percentile, whiff 3rd percentile, K 9th
honestly,
percentile,
13th percentile.
13th. 13th percentile.
Those are all better than what I thought it was going to be. 13th and whatnot. I was like, I would have said like 5th. You know what I mean? But
so, I mean, he is absolutely, like you said, someone who might make me put Steven Tyler in my mouth. But if I'm watching him every day. But I like the upside. I like the upside on both sides of the ball. I think, especially offensively, I think it's comparable with Soler, and you're getting much stronger defense out of him, and you can play him all around the outfield.
Right. And he doesn't. You don't need him to offensively. You don't need him to be a 3 or 4 hitter. You know what I mean? You don't need him to produce like that. You just need to get some depth into the lineup and get another righty in the lineup when, alongside Story, hopefully coming back healthy for a full season, you can actually get some right-handed juice at a place that's very friendly to right-handed hitters.
I mean, the barrels, barrel 88th percentile, hard hit 90th percentile.
See what I mean, dude?
That's tasty, I gotta say.
His swing feels like it's built for a Fenway too.
Oh,
I mean, Soler's the same deal too, but
don't even mention the swing. He's perfect for the Red Sox. His base running run value, 2nd percentile. Let's go.
I could see him in a Sox uni already. God, there's
he
no
was
one
made for Fenway. Tailor
made for the Fens, Liam. I'm telling you, right? Hit some nukes, play some solid defense, and run into some of the dumbest fucking outs that you've ever seen in your entire life. That's that's essentially
we were made for each other.
Exactly, right? A match made in heaven. Gurriel is interesting too. Just an all-around, just sort of a steady Eddie sort of a guy. I guess
also younger too. Isn't he 27 or 28?
I don't know.
I'll pull him up.
How old is he?
Because Teoscar's 31.
31. Okay.
Oh, Gurriel's 30. I guess I always think of him as being younger because he's Yuli's younger brother. But
yes, true. That's COVID brain right there. I'm always off on people's.
God, that really is.
I'm always off by people's ages by 2 years. It's just those 2 years just gone. It just. Anyways. Yeah, that's the that's the aspect of the.
I mean, Gurriel. I think the bat is a step down from Hernandez or Soler, but the defense is steady. The base running is obviously it's hard to get much worse
than 2nd percent. I mean, you could.
Yeah, I mean, you could. No, he's 49th percentile in base running, sprint speed 41st percentile. Not that really is what we're looking for, but hey, the defense in the outfield looks good. So I don't know. I think with Gurriel or Hernandez, though, you can't really. I can't say you're really losing either way. I think both. I either or makes sense as a fit for.
Or just stick Rafael. You just stick Rafaela out and right, and then you sign Whit Merrifield, and then you make me scream.
I'll say this right now. I don't think Rafael is on the opening day roster. I think he'll start the season in the Woo.
Oh, start. Okay, start it down. Yeah. Okay,
unless some big trade goes down, which could still happen. There's a lot of time. It's only December 6th, so
don't tell that to Jake because Jake is like already saying it's over.
I will say this, and I know we like to make fun on Twitter. The off season is still so young, so I'm just
antsy
as a breastfeeder. I'm staying strong.
He's already starting to get a little bit of heat with his Verdugo trade. I mean, not that I expected any different. You know what I mean?
It certainly doesn't help that the Yankees are about to get Soto. I think all of that comes into play. Like if the Yankees weren't doing this, I don't know. That's literally the only thing that's really happened so far is this Soto stuff.
I said it to Emily, so you listening to this, I sound like a broken record, but I'll repeat it to you, Liam. Yankees getting Soto. If/when that happens, it's going to be like, okay, that kind of sucks. Obviously, generational hitter playing for your, most hated rival. That sucks. But, that's not the only issue with the team. I understand that they needed help in the outfield, but that's not all they needed. And even the rest of the lineup, it's like, okay, like it's not exactly murderer's row from top to bottom. If they do that and also get Yamamoto, that's bad. That's real bad. I don't like that one bit. I don't like the idea.
Yeah, that 1-2 punch. Folks, I'll see you in 2025.
When Soto's a free agent, and then we get him. Right? Yeah, that would drive me up a wall.
No,
That
I
would
mean
not be fun.
that's a good point. I think Soto alone obviously hurts, especially as like we still have a ton of work to do this winter. But yeah, if they then sign the free agent that should presumably be your number one target, then yeah.
Who you've said would be a major focus. That didn't they go outward and say that like, yeah, then this is like a big focus for us.
Yeah, I think Passan reported that, where it's like he's reportedly a quote unquote top priority for the Red Sox.
Well, last time we had a top priority during the winter meetings, or around the winter meetings.
He went to San Diego.
He went out west. He went to San Diego. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think if the offseason ends up being Ed and Giolito, Ed's homecoming, and that like, I don't know. I don't know how exciting.
Not that I'd say.
I know. I mean, well, I know I'm being dramatic here, but I've seen people start to say it already though, where it's like if your only move is Montgomery this winter too, like that's not getting the casual fan excited.
No, because the casual fan is not necessarily privy to Jordan Montgomery. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's not a name that
I'd love him here. I think he would.
Yeah, I mean,
he
would be great. I think he's a great fit, and I'd be excited about the move. But I think, I don't know, if you're trying to get people back into the ballpark, not that they have an issue with that. It's like, I mean, really at this point, it's about like TV ratings. Like if you want people to tune in every night, who are you going to go out and get where the casual fan is suddenly, locked in every night?
Someone on the trade market, potentially, you know what I mean? And maybe with these prospects that they just got for Verdugo, hopefully not Dickie Fitz being traded because I want to have fun with that, but maybe this is coping. Maybe this is just trying to bend over backwards to, I don't know, take it for however you want, but maybe that helps steepen the organization where they feel even more comfortable with mortgaging some of those prospects. Not that they shouldn't have been, ready to do so already to improve the major league team. By all accounts, from what we've heard from Breslow directly, that sounded like something that they were ready to do. Haven't done it yet, but it sounded like, that was something that they were looking to be more aggressive. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. And again, I keep saying this. I say this to my dad. I feel like he might be nervous that Breslow is just Bloom 2.0, to which I say maybe this is naive, but why would you change the course with Chaim Bloom just to go for a guy who was Chaim Bloom but also actually pitched on a major league roster? You know what I mean? If you weren't ready to change how aggressive you were, change your philosophy in terms of acquiring assets to improve the major league team, if that's not what you were wanting to do, then why change from Bloom in the first place? So with that in mind, I do think something's coming down the line for the Red Sox. It's been kind of a quiet hot stove across the league. You said it. So I'm cautiously optimistic enough that maybe something is cooking underneath that we just don't know about. I don't know.
I will say I think a huge part of it is the Ohtani stuff, where it's like, well, one, he doesn't want the meetings getting out there. Shout out Dave Roberts. but
right.
But I mean, I think that has only added to what is already typically a slow, like, first 2 months.
Yeah.
Yearly. We've seen this every winter, where it's like the first month and a half, 2 months have kind of always been a slog in recent memory.
Once the big one drops, it's
right.
Okay,
like then it just kind of sets the rest of the market in place. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully, Morosi said Ohtani could make a decision by the end of the weekend, but I don't know. At the same time, like, he's been reporting all this Soto stuff, and then people keep coming back like, no, it's not a done deal. It's not finalized. Like,
yeah.
So
the Roberts thing, the Roberts thing of him saying like, oh yeah, we spoke with Ohtani, it's great, and then the visual of his head of like the PR team gathering around him, and, like,
reading that, I don't know what article this was from, but I saw someone post a screenshot of it where it was like, yeah, like he spoke like confidently and casually for like 20 minutes, and then like as soon as he stopped, his face dropped reading a text, and then he like got together with the PR people off to the side. Just the visual is amazing.
Hey, it's a text from my friend Joe, who works in the PR department. Wonder what Joe's up to. How you doing, Joe?
Wasn't it like, didn't Brandon Gomes say he was like surprised by Dave Roberts' comments?
Yes. Yeah. In Cespedes Family Barbecue on the Baseball Barbacast, they said it's never a good sign when someone as high up as Gomes says that they're quote unquote surprised by the comments of someone else as high up as Dave Roberts. So, oh man. That's funny. And that Soto and Yamamoto to New York, and then Ohtani to Toronto. I think I just might skip the 25 season altogether. I don't need that in my life.
Oh, you're out on the next two.
yeah. Oh, I meant to say 24, but you know what? At that point, 25 as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, it's I don't know. There's a lot of work to do, and for now, I'm gonna try to be patient. I'll get my jokes off on Twitter. But
jokes never stop. One way or the other.
The jokes won't stop. But I don't know. There's still a lot of work to do. You have to figure out the outfield. Starting pitching still needs to be your priority. I don't really care about the outfield before that. But
I mean, I care, but the big thing is
it was like we still need two starting pitchers.
We care a lot
before we can really kind of, focus on being competitive in 24, because until that happens, you won't be. I don't care if you had traded for Soto. Like, similar to the Yankees, that doesn't really change anything unless other parts of the team improve. We knew the offense was good last year. Were they inconsistent a little bit? Yeah, sure, but they were still, top half of the league, top 10 in most categories. So the offense isn't really, concerning, nor is the bullpen. Bullpen
defense
really well. The defense, yes, has been an issue for a few years.
Again, there's no way they don't. There's no way they don't address that. They have to. You'd have to be a baby, like an actual infant, to not see that there's an issue with the defense there. So I'm confident enough that they'll at least try to address that.
I will say I still don't envy Craig. Like, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. But you know what, breastfeeders, we have to stay strong.
I know.
I am starting to get a bit hungry, though. I'm kind of, as Liam's coughing up a lung right now. Surprised you made it this far into the pod without getting into a, your milady.
First coughing fit. I will say, and I know we like to joke on this program that being a baseball GM should be very easy, and we could do it. As far as where the Red Sox currently stand, I would not want any part of that.
Exception to the rule.
Yeah, trying to put this team together as it stands right now. There's a lot of balls in the air, and I would feel very overwhelmed if I was Craig. So
we shall see. We shall see. Is that it for any Red Sox talk? Is that all we got right now?
I think that's all we got.
Are we doing anything on December 23rd?
I'll be back in Maryland again.
You're gonna be, yeah, God.
Yeah.
What,
yeah.
Spend Christmas with the quote unquote family?
Yeah. Exactly.
Saturday. Specifically at 12:30. Are you doing anything?
Well, I'll certainly be watching.
Yeah.
I have to make sure I retain custody over Jake.
The last time it was a draw between Arsenal and Liverpool, by the way. We're talking about a different sport now. If you don't want to hear about a little footy, then we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening. But yeah, I mean, I think we draw. That was the 2-2 game at Anfield. So custody of Jake is straight up for grabs. Like, no one's defending the custody here. It's
it's been a push.
Is that at Anfield
and
again?
Then there's the FA Cup game on January 3rd.
I would easily trade the Premier League game for the FA Cup. If the only fucking trophy that Arsenal wins this year is another goddamn FA Cup, I
guess that's true. You have enough of them.
Not that I like. When we won our first one, I think it was in 20. Well, not the first one. The first time Arsenal won an FA Cup with me watching, I think it was 13. I think it was that Hull City game where they came back. I was like, oh, this is great. Oh my God, like, Arsenal won a trophy. I haven't seen this yet. This is great. And then I think we won the next year. Like, oh my God, FA Cup. Okay, how about the Premier League? Nothing. All right, how about the Champions League? Oh, we're just going to get bounced by Barcelona or Munich again. Like, we won the COVID FA Cup. That was Arteta's first piece of silverware. Okay, that's great. That's fine. Whatever. FA Cups don't move me anymore, man. Like, I get the tradition of it, you know, in British soccer. I understand that it's important for a lot of Arsenal fans. It's not for me. Who cares? I want a Premier League. I want a deep Champions League run. God.
I want another Premier League too. Quite honestly,
you got one.
I know.
You got and a fucking Champions League.
I've got one of each in the last 4 years.
God, kick fucking rocks, dude.
I got multiples. I have multiples.
I have a Europa League final appearance, and we got spanked by Chelsea. That's all I got, man.
You're basically in the same boat I was in going into 17-18.
Right before like Salah really blew up.
Yeah.
Or was
Salah's first year?
Yeah.
So. It was like we had gone to the Europa League final with Klopp. We'd gone to the Carabao Cup final with Klopp.
Yeah.
We'd lost both.
Don't care. Yeah, we lost the Carabao Cup too. I was like, oh, boo-hoo, it's less games on our schedule. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we don't have to trot out, Martinelli out there against, some fucking farm team on a Wednesday when we have to go to Old Trafford on the week. You know what I mean? I don't care.
I will tell you this: if you wear those ugly yellow shirts on the 23rd, I will have some harsh words.
They're hideous, dude. They're awful.
And they score a late winner in them again.
Deck in the 98th minute or something like that. Let's go, Deco.
So stupid.
My boy.
There's magic in them.
A buddy of mine who listens to the program, shout out C. Dane, he was complaining about Arsenal potentially getting some extra time on that Rice goal against Luton. And I'm like, I have endured this shit. Like Fergie time, even the shit this year, the officiating against Arsenal this year. I don't want to be one to complain about the officiating. Arsenal fans are insufferable about that.
Oh, Liverpool fans are the worst.
But trust me, I have seen more times than I can count some of the shit, the antics that have been pulled against Arsenal, to the point where like the fucking like. There have been multiple times, I think, in the last couple of years where, like, the referee, I forget the name of the organization, they're like, yeah, we fucked up that call against Arsenal, our bad. So I don't want to hear it that we got one extra minute to get a goal against Luton. And it shouldn't have even been in that situation in the first place. Fucking David Raya.
I mean, that was us with Louis Diaz. Were you guys at Luton?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was such.
Is it Luton? I also thought it was Luton.
One of the two.
I think it's Luton.
It's Luton. I don't know. Well, we needed a Louis Diaz extra time winner.
Yeah.
Out there too. So apparently it's a fortress. Who knew?
Who'd you guys? I know you won today. Who'd you play?
Who the hell did we play? Oh, Sheffield.
Oh, Blades. There you go.
Yeah.
Got Crystal Palace. Got Crystal Palace over the weekend. You're hosting United soon. Got 3 straight. Oh well, that's a Carabao Cup game against West Ham. That doesn't really fucking count. 3 of your next 4 games in the Premier League, or 3 of the 5, I suppose. United at home. You play Arsenal at home, and then Newcastle at home on New Year's Day. So.
Big month. Those festive fixtures, man, they'll get you.
I think if we can get a draw, I mean, we'll talk more about it as we get close. We got to wrap this episode up. But if we can get a draw at Anfield, which is a fucking house of horrors for Arsenal, my God, that and Old Trafford, it just sends shivers down my spine. And I guess the Etihad too.
United don't move me anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, but I'm just saying
it's been a long time.
Past, the Etihad is tough too. Although fucking City lost today too.
Yeah, Villa, man, Unai, your boy.
my boy. That fucker. Oh God, we have them over the weekend.
Good evening.
Yeah,
do you really? That's
we go to Villa Park. So
well, watch out
to play the villains. That'll be a tough game.
That was Stevie G laying the groundwork for Unai.
You go right to the very top. Right to the very top. But I think if we could split the points at Anfield, I think I would take that. I think that's okay.
I would take that if I were you. I mean, obviously it's Anfield, so I'm expecting a victory. But at the end, if it's a draw, I mean, that's like when we played City like a weekend ago. It was like I'll take a draw here all day because we were at City. So
yeah,
but yeah, is what it is.
And I was talking soccer to steal the PMT bit. So. Tweet a soccer ball if you make it this far, and then tell us if you'd rather Arsenal or Liverpool to win, you will be judged accordingly by one of us.
It's true.
Again, it's a couple weekends from now. It's the Saturday before Christmas. We've got some time. So.
The custody match will extend beyond just Jake to our beautiful listeners.
Yeah, I mean, again, I will. You can have the FA Cup game if it means we can split these points before Christmas. And then I just looked. We play you early February at the Emirates. Take all 3 points.
Wow, it's
there.
that soon?
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround.
That sucks. I wish it were later in the season.
I don't know when we go to City, like when the other big ones are. I don't know when we go to Tottenham, because we have to go to. I think it's called Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'll still always call it White Hart Lane. We have to go there. Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting push, but I'm excited to see how Arsenal lets me down this time.
Long way to go, man. I know it feels like once we're in the thick of like December, we're in it, but God, we still got until like mid-May.
Exactly. So, and then the European tournaments too. Hopefully, Arsenal can make a deep run there, but that's besides the point. They will disappoint me at some point. If not once, then multiple times they'll disappoint me.
I have dreams of Dublin in May. That's where the Europa League final is.
Is it at Croke or is that the other one, the Aviva Park? I think
it's at the Aviva.
Gotcha. Croke's fucking massive. They should have it at Croke Park.
Is it really? Then why the hell does the national team always play at the Aviva?
I think maybe Croke's more like privy for like Gaelic football and hurling or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Any Irish listeners want to
for sure a hurling ground.
Yes, hurling is just kill the man with a stick. It's awesome. Hurling's sick.
I wish hurling was bigger.
I went to the hurling thing at Fenway a couple of years ago. It was awesome. I think it was Galway. Dublin was there. I think County Tyrone. And
they should do that every year. I don't know when they.
It was sick. It was awesome.
They did it like back-to-back years in a row, right?
Yeah, they should do it again.
That might have been was that a COVID casualty? It might have been.
Yeah, because it was definitely before COVID. I remember explicitly whatever the date of the Nate Peterman 5 interception in 1/2 game was. That's when I went to Fenway hurling. That's a blast from the past there. So, all right. I think that's gonna be it. I still gotta edit this bad boy. So we appreciate you taking the time to listen with us for another edition of Pod on Lansdowne. It was a big one. So hopefully we have even more news, some good news to talk to you next time we hit that record button. But until then, for Jake, who's in parts unknown, for Liam, I'm Fitz. You've been you. We'll talk to you next time. Appreciate you as always. Go Sox and obey your mother.
Obey your mother.
Nice and deep with the cold voice there.
It's even deeper than usual.